Hi everyone and welcome back. I hope you're all doing really well. In today's video I'm going to be sharing with you all of my plans for autumn sewing and knitting as well. I have been sharing quite a lot recently by way of autumn sewing inspiration in my Get Set for Autumn Sewing series, which if you haven't already seen you can catch up on in my playlist, which I'll link in the video description below. But now it's time for me to actually think about what I might want to sew for autumn and winter time, and as always I've tried to really think carefully about this. I'm at the point in my sewing now, I think, where I really want to be intentional about what I make. I've spent quite a lot of time sewing everything and anything that I want to, all of the new things coming out, because that's always a great thing to do really while you're learning. And I'm not saying by any means I have learnt everything I need to know, most definitely not, but I am at the point now where I feel like my wardrobe is pretty full and I need to be really intentional about what I'm bringing into it and how I'm going to wear my new things going into a new season. So as you'll know if you're a regular here, I always like to think about how something new might fit into my current wardrobe. I always like to think really carefully about the kind of fabrics that I choose. I want to wear fabrics that are going to make me feel comfortable and that I'm going to want to reach for and I'm going to want to wear, and I also want to choose a colour palette that I know suits me well, and again that I am going to want to reach for in my wardrobe, and that's going to go really nicely with other things I already have in my wardrobe, which may be handmade. And there's also still quite a lot of ready to wear in my wardrobe as well, which I'm quite happy about, to be honest. So with all that in mind, I've made a bit of a list of sewing plans and things that I'd like to get made in this autumn time. So not only sewing, there is actually going to be some knitting plans in here as well. I've recently really got into knitting. I'm loving knitting at the moment, and I'm really inspired by all of the knitting patterns that are around. Pinterest, Ravelry, Instagram is really inspiring me at the moment, so I have got a couple of knitting plans too. My knitting is never quite as speedy as my sewing. I am quite a slow knitter. I only ever tend to knit in the evenings, mostly while I'm watching TV. So anyway, with all that said, let's get into it, shall we? So first of all, I will share my sewing plans. And the first thing I would like to bring into my wardrobe for autumn time is a pair of wide leg trousers. Nice pair of wide leg trousers that you can wear with boots, or I tend to wear them with trainers or even Ugg boots, and pair with a nice cozy jacket on top or a knit jumper underneath as well. I do have quite a few of handmade pairs of wide leg trousers in my wardrobe already, but they are mostly elasticated waist trousers, and for this make I really want to challenge myself a little bit more and try and make a tailored pair of wide leg trousers. So the pattern I've chosen to go for is the Paradise Patterns Protea pants. This pattern has been on my wish list for quite some time, and in all honesty I've been putting it off because I've been a little bit scared, and it's been far easier in the past to just whip up a pair of elasticated waist trousers rather than spend the time fitting and doing all the bits and pieces involved in a smarter pair of trousers like these. So if you haven't seen this pattern, it has two different style options to it. Both are quite wide legged, but one is super wide legged and it has pleats at the waist and pleats down the leg as well. This pattern certainly fits the bill in terms of having all of the tailored things. It has waist pleats, a waistband, belt loops, pockets, a zip fly, everything that I need in a tailored pair of trousers. And I think I am going to go for the super wide leg because why not? So I think in terms of colour for this pair, I just want a simple black pair of trousers because black will go with everything. I think these would look really lovely in a checked fabric as well, so you never know, if I do become ultra confident once I've made one pair, maybe I will move on to make something a little bit more adventurous. But yeah, that is my first plan, a nice pair of black wide leg trousers that I hope will go with everything. Plan number two is a gingham blouse. So I did share in one of my Sew the High Street Trends video that there were loads of gingham and check blouses around on the high street for autumn winter time, and I really fancied sewing up something similar. I have quite a few blouses in my wardrobe, but I don't have a gingham or a checked one, so I think that would be something nice to introduce. There are loads of different style gingham blouses around on the high street. Some of them are frilly, some of them have huge collars, some of them are quite understated. I think for me I probably want something on the more sort of understated side because gingham for me is a little bit out there anyway. It's not necessarily necessarily a fabric that I do wear very often, so it is going to feel a little bit different. So I want to have a pattern that's going to give me something that I feel comfortable wearing in. So the pattern I'm going to use to sew up my gingham blouse is going to be the patina blouse by Friday Pattern Company. This is a pattern I've made quite a few times now and I absolutely love it. I know it fits me really well. I love the collar on this one. It's not too big. It's a lovely kind of vintage style collar. And yeah, I absolutely love the style of the patina blouse. Something that I'm going to think about when I actually come to sew this blouse is whether or not to add a frill around the collar or even something like a rick-rack trim. I've seen quite a lot of blouses on the high street and on Pinterest that have this lovely sort of gingham collar to go with the gingham blouse and then a cute little rick-rack trim around as well. So I think I'm going to decide whether or not to add a frill or a rick-rack when I come to actually sew the blouse. I think colour-wise for this one, I want to go something really warm, so maybe like a brown or a burgundy gingham, and I think that will just pair really nicely with jeans or even my black wide leg trousers if I actually get them sewn. It would also look really nice with mini skirts and even underneath things. I do tend to wear quite a lot of jeans and a nice top outfits, so hopefully this will be a really nice addition to my autumn wardrobe. Plan number 3 is a replacement denim shirt. So quite a few years ago now, I actually sewed a denim look Logan Shacket shirt, which I wore quite a lot, but this shirt has really come to the end of its life. When I was doing the switch over from my summer clothes to my autumn clothes, I got this shirt out and I thought, that really does look quite tired now, but I wear it all the time. I'd really quite like to replace it and maybe even give it a little bit of an upgrade. But I want to maybe sort of upgrade the fabric that I used. So maybe look for something really nice like a tencel blend denim or a tencel chambray or something that feels really nice when you're wearing it and has a good drape to it. So I'm going to have a little look around to see what kind of lovely lightweight denims I can get. I was also thinking as well that rather than make a Logan Shacket, which is the pattern that I used last time, I might actually use the Grey Line Archer shirt pattern, which is actually the shirt that I'm wearing today, but obviously I've got it underneath this jumper. Grey Line Archer is much more of a fitted, more tailored shirt than the Logan Shacket, and it just goes nicer, I think, underneath things because it's that little bit more fitted and you don't feel so bulky. And whilst we're talking about shirts, I would also really like to make a simple white shirt that I can use to layer underneath knits and things and pullovers again. I have an oversized white Logan Shacket from a linen fabric, which is very much a summer shirt, but what I want is something a little bit more fitted to me, something a little bit more lightweight and a little bit more drapey. If I make it in the right fabric, get a really nice quality viscose, yeah, and hopefully it will just be a really good wardrobe staple. Plan number 4 is a pair of checked trousers. So if you'd asked me at the beginning of September whether or not I would be wearing a pair of checked trousers in autumn, I probably would have said to you, no, definitely not. Definitely not for me. But I have to say, I have been seeing some lovely checked trousers around on the high street, particularly from my all-time favourite fashion brand, Suzanne, who always do everything so beautifully, don't they? But they have a really lovely pair of checked trousers on their website, and I've seen a few people actually wearing these on Pinterest and Instagram, and they look so good, just paired with a plain knit. And it's really made me come around to considering checked trousers as a piece for my autumn winter wardrobe. So yeah, the more I see them, the more I think they look really nice, and I think if you style them according to your own sort of style and taste, you can make them work really well. So yeah, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to make myself a pair of checked trousers. There are loads of elasticated drawstring pairs of these trousers around on the high street actually, and then there's the more tailored versions like the Suzanne ones. I think I want something kind of in between, so I've been looking at lots of different patterns to see what I think might work well for me, and the pattern that I've come back to is the Tilly and the Buttons Winnie trousers. So again, these trousers have been on my radar, I think. I keep seeing them on Instagram, seeing people make their versions and thinking they look quite nice, but I haven't actually bit the bullet and bought the pattern yet because I was kind of thinking over the summer, how many more pairs of elasticated trousers do I actually need? But I think actually these are quite different from the other pairs of trousers that I have in my pattern stash, because they do have that more tapered barrel leg style. And I think what I'm going to do is use this pattern to make a subtle pair of checked trousers with a very small check on it, or maybe even like a houndstooth design or something like that. And I'm going to have them slightly cropped, tapered. I love the elasticated back of the Winnie trousers, so you do get the flat front and you get the pockets in that waistband as well, so they look a little bit as if they're tailored from the front, but then the back has the really comfy elasticated waist. And I'm thinking that paired with a nice knit, maybe a trench coat, maybe a pair of loafers, they might actually work really well, and they should be super comfy and super warm to wear too. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the Winnie pattern, find a nice subtle check, probably a light wool fabric or something, yeah, and go for it and see how I feel about a pair of check trousers. If they don't work, then they don't work, and I'll probably give them to my daughter. But you know, sometimes you have to try these things, don't you? Plan number 5 is a collared knit top. Again, something that I've been seeing around a lot on the high street and really like the look of. So the collared tops that I'm talking about, there are quite a few different styles around. There's the more oversized sweatshirt style collared top, more of a kind of rugby or athleisure style top, but the collared top style that I want to go for is something a little bit more fitted with an open neck and then sort of a quite structured pointed collar. And I want to sew this from a really lovely comfy cozy brushed knit fabric. So the pattern I think I'm going to use for this make is the Sew Over It Carly top. I talked about this pattern as well in one of my Sew the Trends videos, and I think this is a really lovely pattern. I've heard quite good things about it. So with the Carly pattern, you can actually sew it as a dress or a top, and you can sew either short sleeve or long sleeves. It's got a little V-neck to it, quite a pointy collar, and you can either have the placket with buttons or without. So for me, I'm going to go for a placket without buttons and just have it as an open V-neck. In terms of colour, I think I want to go for something really warm and really earthy. So I'm thinking probably something along the lines of what I'm wearing actually, like a camely brown or even a burgundy. If it goes well, maybe I could have one of each. I'm just thinking that a top like this will pair so well with a pair of wide leg trousers and trainers and a nice jacket, or a pair of jeans. It would go really nicely underneath cardigans. I think it would be a really useful layering piece, and it's something that I've not made really. I've not really made a top with a placket like this, so it'll be something new to learn. I've never made a collar in a knit fabric, so that's going to be new, and I've never made a placket. I've never done a jersey placket on anything, I don't think. So I'm looking for a really nice warm brushed knit, maybe something similar to the Lima knit fabric that I used in my recent toaster sweater, because I know that is a lovely fabric. It's very warm and cozy and quite drapey as well, so I think that will work nicely. But I'm going to have a little look around and see what I can find. Something that I think is going to be really cozy and really warm. I'm always really particular about the kind of knit fabrics that I buy. I know knit fabrics can be very hit and miss, can't they? And sometimes you will buy a fabric and it won't last, or it will pill in the wash, or you know, it will kind of go out of shape when you first wear it. So I really like to use jersey fabrics that I know I've used before and I know last well and wear well and everything. So just in case you're sort of watching my videos and thinking that I use the same kind of fabrics all the time, that is generally why, because when I find a fabric and I know I like it, I would generally buy it again and again in all of the colours, because I hate sometimes trying new things and then them not working out, which isn't always a good thing, because you should experiment, and I might be missing out on other fabric brands that are just as good. Anyway, let's move on. Plan number 6 is a quilted jacket. So I have made a quilted jacket in the past. I made a quilted Ilford jacket, but I used a pre-quilted fabric. So I kind of cheated, I guess you could say. What I want to make this time is a quilted jacket that I've quilted myself. So I have some fabric all ready for this actually. I brought some lovely lightweight upholstery fabric actually from a fabric sale local to me, and I would really like to have a go at quilting the fabric myself. So I want this jacket to be really simple, no collars, no buttons even, I don't think. I just want it to be front and back collarless, perhaps slightly slanted at the front, I'm not quite sure yet. and I want to try and make it reversible as well. So I want to kind of line everything, or finish everything I should say, with bias binding so that it can be worn on the inside fabric or the outside fabric. When you turn it one way, you're going to have the bias binding, which is kind of a feature along all of the seams, and when you turn it the other way, the bias binding is just used as a seam binding, and there's no obvious bias binding on the seams on the outside. Obviously you still get the bias binding all around the front edge and the bottom and the cuffs as well. So I'm going to have a little play around with this. I feel like this is going to be a fun experiment because I have the fabric already. I've probably got some wadding somewhere from my Etsy shop quilting days that I can use. So really this is just going to be something fun that I can play around with. And the pattern that I want to use for this make is, surprise surprise, the Ilford jacket by Friday Pattern Company. This is a really lovely boxy jacket. It's so kind of easy to play around with because it's just got that lovely boxy shape and there's not too much to it. And as you'll know, I have used this pattern in the past to make quite a few different variations on the Ilford jacket, so I'm thinking that I could probably use that pattern again and just make a lovely easy cropped quilted jacket, bias bound. I could probably do it without needing to buy another pattern, and yeah, it would just be a really fun experiment for autumn time. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that actually. I love quilting, as you know, and I might put some little patch pockets on it as well, who knows. Yeah, this is going to be a fun experiment and I'm looking forward to having a go at that whenever I get around to it. So I have a plan number 7, but there actually wasn't a plan number 7 when I was planning for this video. The plan number 7 actually snuck in there when I was looking for patterns on the fold line, and then I came across this lovely pattern and I had to add it to the list. So the pattern that caught my eye was the Fibre Mood Paulette pattern. I'm sure you all know, if you love Suzanne as much as I do, I know it's a bit viral at the moment, everyone loves Suzanne, don't they? But they have so many beautiful blouses on their website, and if you've been looking on there as well, you'll know that a lot of their blouses look very similar to this style. So this blouse has a small stand-up collar, it has front panels and these beautiful ruffles on the front, and the ruffles actually continue around the back as well, and then it has cuffed sleeves. I thought this looked so pretty and I was very taken by the pattern image actually. I love the stripy fabric that they use. I think what I want to make is something very similar to all of the broderie anglaises and lacy kind of blouses that there are on the Suzanne website, and I think this pattern will be a very good basis for me to be able to do that. So I'm going to have a look around for some broderie anglaise or embroidered fabric of some kind that I can make a Suzanne style blouse from using this pattern. I haven't used a Fibre Mood pattern for absolutely ages. What used to put me off about their patterns actually was that you always had to add seam allowance. I think with this pattern anyway, you can actually buy it as a PDF and then you can either print it out with or without the seam allowances. I don't know why you'd ever print it without the seam allowances, to be honest, but either way, it seemed as though there were 2 options. So that one kind of snuck in on the end of my list of autumn plans. But I'm really excited to give that pattern a go as well. So quite ambitious autumn sewing plans actually. And you might notice that I've only labelled this video autumn sewing plans, so there may be some winter sewing plans coming up as well. So that's all of my sewing. So let's move on to a couple of knitting plans that I have. So if you watched my catch-up video last week, you'll know that I already have 2 knitting plans on the go at the moment. One of them is very nearly finished, I just need to knit the button band, and one of them is, I'm making good progress on it, let's say. But I did mention in that video that I'd quite like to have a sweater on the go at the same time as I'm knitting that cardigan, just to have a little bit of variation in my knitting. I've heard recently quite a lot about it being a good thing to do that. So you've got 2 projects on the go. It should be that one of them is a little bit more difficult and one of them is more simple, so that if you're having a tired day you can just pick up the simple project, or if you feel like you need to be a bit more challenged, you can pick up the projects a little bit more challenging. So there are actually 2 sweater plans on my to knit list for autumn. I have to say that some of these will get pushed into winter time unless I suddenly get extremely speedy with my knitting. These are not going to get done just in autumn, especially because I already have 2 cardigans on the go as well. So the first pattern on my knitting wish list for autumn is sweater number 9 by My Favourite Things Knitwear. I absolutely love the look of this sweater. It's really simple in design. As I mentioned, I really love knitting raglan at the moment, and I love wearing raglan shapes too. I find them much more flattering and much more easy to wear underneath things. So I love the raglan detail on this knitting pattern. So it's a lovely simple sweater. Got quite a high turtleneck, and then it's got this really pretty, I think this is broken rib, I might be wrong. I haven't probably looked at the pattern, but it's quite a sort of distinctive raglan, isn't it? So the raglan is quite a big feature of this sweater, which I really quite liked. But then otherwise, yeah, it's a really simple style sweater, and I thought this would be just a lovely one to have for autumn time. It will just pair nicely with everything, won't it? Jeans, jumpers, sweaters, skirts, even pinafore dresses again maybe, or over skirts and that kind of thing. So yeah, very much on my knitting wish list. I've not knit any patterns so far from my favourite things, but I've heard very good things about them. So do let me know if you've knit this pattern, and let me know if you have knit any of their other patterns as well. The yarn used for this sweater is Knitting for Olive. So again, you hold a DK weight, I think it is, with a lace weight, just to give that nice fluffy texture. Turtleneck on this is quite high, so I think I would probably take that down a little bit and not have it quite so high and tight around my neck. So that's the first knitting pattern on my list. And then if you've not seen, Mode at Rowan have just recently released their new knitting patterns for autumn and winter time, and there's some really lovely patterns on there. And the one that really caught my eye was this sweater. This is a nice sort of cropped boxy style oversized sweater, and I really love this stitch on it. So it's quite a textured sort of woven stitch. It looks as though it'd be reasonably easy to do. It looks as though it's kind of a combination of knit and purl stitches. So there's some broken rib, I think there's a little bit of moss style stitch, and it's all done in this kind of basket weave sort of texture, and I thought that was quite different, and I've not knit anything like that before. So I thought if I had something like that on the go, as well as my nice easy cardigan, Mia cardigan that I'm knitting at the moment, that could be my more challenging project, and then the Mia cardigan could be my nice easy one that I just pick up when I need to knit watching the telly without thinking too much. I thought it was really cozy looking. I love the roll neck. I'm not so bad with necks like this because they tend to stand away from your neck mostly, don't they? But I think with the turtleneck, the tight design, that's where I get a little bit, feel a bit strangled. So I think I'll probably be okay with this neckline. This one is Knitting Kid Classic, which is a yarn that I've knit before, or knit with before, and I know it knits up really nicely. And it's very cozy to wear as well. It's got a really nice brushed texture to it. But yeah, do pop over and have a look at Mode at Rowan's new knitting patterns. There are some really lovely ones in there, some beautiful yarns, beautiful textures, some things that are very much beyond my own knitting skill set at the moment, but you never know, one day. But I really like the way that Mode at Rowan have lots of beginner friendly patterns that are knit flat and seamed up. They have some knitting in the round projects, and then they have some really sort of technical colour work and lace projects as well. So there's quite a good range of levels included in their patterns. So those are my autumn sewing and knitting plans. If you like the look of any of those projects and you'd quite like to see a sew along of them, do let me know, and I'll have a think about maybe filming some of them as sewing videos, sewing day in my life videos, where I can share a little bit more about the making process. Let me know what you think of my sewing plans. Let me know if you have any similar sewing plans. Let me know what's on your autumn sewing list as well. I'd love to know, and I'm always really inspired to hear what you're sewing up to, so do let me know what you're working on. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more sewing videos. I post every Sunday at 8 AM, and if you have enjoyed this video, please do give it a like as well. Don't forget you can follow me over on Instagram at Made by Sally Gauntlet, and I also have a Patreon as well, where I share an extra behind the scenes video every month, as well as other bits and pieces, tips and tricks and other videos and things like that. So I'd love to have you over there. I'll leave the link for that below if you fancy popping over and seeing what it's all about. Otherwise, thanks again for watching, everyone. Take care, have a good week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.